Very few video games carry as much weight and respect as Final Fantasy VII. This is a game that showed so many people growing up in the 90s that powerful storytelling, lovable characters, and massive lore-rich worlds had a place in the video game medium. So the task of remaking this game almost felt impossible. And then FF7 Remake came out in 2020 and was an absolute banger that even stayed true to the source material. Well, until the last 2 hours. So now you have Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, which has the double impossible task of holding up the standards set by both the original FF7 and my 2020 Game of the Year, Final Fantasy VII Remake. With a year that's bursting at the seams with RPGs, Square Enix is going to have to pull out all the stops with Rebirth. So, how much staying power does FF7 Rebirth have this year and beyond? Roll that title card. FF7 Rebirth is the total package when it comes to video game presentation. The settings are stunning, the characters are so unique and beautiful to look at, the music is just banger after banger, and the entire mood of the game feels so wholesome and delightful to be wrapped up in. And in the first hour of the game, the tone is set immediately. The opening credits start sneaking in and give the camera a nice little pullback and just blast this brand new rendition of the theme. It's such a good way of saying, remember everything you loved about Remake's presentation? We got that, and then threw in this huge open world. God damn, this game is absolutely beautiful. But granted, so is Remake. I wouldn't say this is a massive leap forward from Remake graphically, but you do notice some nice polish here and there. The key difference is Rebirth, you have the beautiful open world and so many different locales and settings, and don't worry, I already got the Vista B-roll in the chamber and running right now. You know I can't resist some good Vista shots, so we'll just keep those rolling. The shots of this game are stellar. The way light hits faces, the incredible framing of shots, the way the game utilizes its camera work makes it feel more like a summer blockbuster. Even when you're outside of cinematic moments and cutscenes, the game is still flexing on you, especially in the cities. Cities are dense and feel really alive. There's little details here and there that most people will never stop and see. In general, the game is pretty technically smooth. It never falls out of 60 FPS, even if it's at the expense of everyone not having eyebrows. I actually had a few more tech issues and bugs than I expected here. A couple crashes, some weird infinite loading screens, getting stuck in boxes. Granted, this was all a little bit earlier in the game, so there's a chance this got ironed out with patches. Just be on the lookout for a little bit of jank in this otherwise smooth game. The smoothness doesn't just apply to frame rates, it also applies to your characters. Just like in Remake and in Intergrade, everyone is so fucking smooth and clean with their moves. Like, all these dudes are just pro gymnasts out here. My girl Elena is jumping out of a plane and makes it look like it was all part of the plan. She's roundhouse kicking grenades. I mean, is there nothing this girl can't do? While Elena is just one example of this, the choreography is so well done for every character. It's so good that even these crazy anime moves never feel very out of place and almost feel grounded. The vibes and tone of everything in this game is so unique, and it's because the game never takes itself too seriously. It knows it's dumb, it knows it's stupid. Rebirth feels so delightfully 90s, and they somehow pulled off a phenomenal modernization of it. Cartoon-looking villains, senseless settings, video gamey side quests, it's all here. Like, why is there a haunted mansion level? Why is this goblin dressed like he's a Saved by the Bell cast member? I mean, even the Doom buggy has lightning bolt decals. I'm in a 1997 time capsule. Now the music, sweet God. This game has the best music in the Final Fantasy series and is in my personal top 5 OSTs of all time. And as is always the case, it's because the extraordinary amount of versatility and polish. No song in this game is half-assed. Even if a song is going to play for like 13 minutes on a single side quest, it's given as much love and attention as the main theme. Like my personal favorite song, Bow Wow Wow. That song is so good. I need a minute. Not only is the music itself great, but it's how it works its way into the game. All the music is so intentional, like the time you control Yuffie and it plays a slowed down version of her theme. Tifa's theme sneaks in when you see her in Niflheim for the first time. The first time you're hanging out with Aerith, you get a little bit of her theme. The sound design does get a little wonky. Like, for some reason in cutscenes when they're just blasting music at full volume,
On the high seas, you're at the mercy of the wind. The ocean is a capricious lass.
the battle music in this game has no business going as hard as it does. The main battle theme, For Those Who Fight, just keeps getting better and better and better with each passing hour of this game. Like, oh, this version is pretty good. I'm feeling it. Just hit phase 3 of the boss. Oh my god, we have a double bass pedal.
It's gonna cook us alive.
Then let's end this asshole.
I normally don't spend a crazy amount of time on music and reviews, but FF7 Rebirth deserves its flowers in that department. 400 songs, and legit none of them are bad. FF7 Rebirth once again sets the bar for what a modern JRPG should look like and feel like, and it somehow pulls off one of the best atmospheric balancing acts I've seen in the game. Rebirth's gameplay is all improvement. No aspects regressed, and the majority of it actually got better. Though there are still some questionable ass game design decisions made throughout this game, but hey, let's talk about the good. Let's start with the thing that makes this version of FF7 shine so bright. Beating ass. The combat didn't miss a step. It's just as satisfying as it was in Remake. The muscle memory takes a couple hours to get back, but once it clicks, you're whooping ass on a global scale. We got shortcuts assigned, I got dodges timed, I'm sliding around the battlefield like an absolute menace, limit breaks are just getting churned out. No level 7 gopher is safe from this onslaught. While combat has similarities to Remake, they added a couple extra tweaks here and there to make it much more fulfilling. These synergy abilities are such a welcome element of combat, and more important, they are easy to use, satisfying to land, and beautiful to look at. Ooh, I especially like this one, where Aerith and Barrett put on sunglasses and just start blasting away. In fact, all the combat is just good looking. Every button mash of combat feels responsive and clean. The way you just fucking zoom into the fight as Cloud is clean as shit and feels PER perfect. It's really all the stuff that doesn't involve you striking bad guys that I feel like had the biggest improvements. Perfect blocks, parries, aerial movement, all feel great. Every character is a blast to play as. No one feels bad. Anytime I have a group of 3 characters out there, I would just end up thinking about playing as whoever was on my bench. Then I bring them out and be like, well, I do actually kind of want to play as Aerith now. And this roster musical chairs went on throughout my entire playthrough. Boss fights are the best they've ever been. You can't always just brute force your way through. You actually sometimes have to take a second and start strategizing and planning out your moves. And these fights are so sick. Just doing that little cutscene, the gameplay transition, that always gets my blood pumping. The biggest gameplay difference in Rebirth is the big old open world. You have your towers, your checklist items, some fun enemies to fight. I actually enjoyed going through and knocking out all these little activities scattered across the map. But the one thing that's imperative to making an open world work is making it fun to traverse and fun to explore. And I think Rebirth really is not fun or engaging to traverse. Everything is just so sluggish. You're getting stuck on weird pieces of geometry. Gongaga and Grasslands especially are chocobo nightmares. The thing that makes this especially rough is I think all the worst traversal takes place in the first 25% of the game. Sluggishness is a substantial problem overall, even outside traversal. The game just slows you down a lot. The slow climbing, pushing around obstacles and objects, sneaking around, so much sneaking around, scooching through cracks and narrow ledges. I was really hoping next gen would fix these mass loading screens. These bits just crater the game's flow. Even on the side quests, this pacing sneaks up on you. 80% of side quests in this are the best. They're so fun, they're engaging, they don't feel like checklists. And then you have this chicken side quest. Why? Who thought this was a good idea? There's no way someone walked into a boardroom, pitched this quest, and everyone went, yep, and just agreed. I do not believe it. But now, if you know me, you know I love a good compliment sandwich. So while I was just ragging on pace, throw that shit out because FF7 Rebirth is one of the most diverse gameplay experiences out there. How am I even playing Final Fantasy right now? Remember the time I started playing a piano rhythm game? Or the time I played Chocobo Dress Up? Ooh, how about the time I played Animal Rocket League? I'm riding a dolphin now? I'm riding a motorcycle now? I'm not exaggerating, everything is in this game. I'm playing fucking Mario Kart right now. I remember spending a full 3-hour session doing everything except fighting. And then you have the granddaddy of them all, Queen's Blood. I normally don't like card games, but I really like Queen's Blood. So much so that I would continue to beat ass time after time after time after time after time. Oh, you're a terminally ill patient whose only joy in life is found through Queen's Blood? Get that shit out of here, motherfucker. Well, you're obviously given the advantage by being able to go first. That doesn't make this game any less fun. It was such a delightful detour in my adventure. While the sluggish parts are going to get frustrating in this game, everything else Rebirth has to offer is 100% worth it. And I think as the game went on, Rebirth starts to realize this and finds ways to really open itself up. This blend of top-notch, great feeling combat, satisfying open world activities, and a variety that's only bested by Yakuza makes Rebirth a can't-miss gameplay experience. Rebirth is the most fun I've had with a video game's story and characters in a long time. The overarching narrative of Rebirth is really intriguing. They plant those little story seeds early and often. The game is a real slow burn from a story progress standpoint. The drip feed of details you receive over the game made it very easy to motivate myself to keep pushing forward through the game's main narrative. That slow burn can backfire a little bit though. There are a lot of times where the story can feel a little aimless, or maybe the better word is just simple. It's very follow this guy there. There's a thing at point B. Let's go to point C. The storytelling is very A to B, and I find it weird that no character is like, guys, is it really necessary to scour across the entire continent just to follow these guys in black robes? Surely there's a more efficient way to spend our time. But all the in-between character moments and silly story moments make it easy to look past that. Side quests are a joy to follow. Each side quest kind of has a main character from your party, which makes even that stupid-ass chicken quest feel a little more personal. The story for the game is all about the stuff in between, which I know is a pretty fancy way of saying it's not about the destination, but about the journey. But even though it's a cliche, that doesn't make it any less true. While the first 90% of this game is a slow burn, the ending is anything but that. It's more like a piece of notebook paper in a lake full of kerosene type of burn. Just like Remake, the ending of Rebirth goes a little loco off the rails, and you're left feeling confused as opposed to the other emotions the game wants you to feel. After reading and doing some research after the credits rolled, I felt like I understand what happened, but on the initial pass, my brain was in a blender. So when you finish the game and you start Googling Final Fantasy VII Rebirth ending explained, don't worry, I was right there with you. But the thing that really makes the story of Rebirth so damn good is the constant in this series. Its characters. In a shocking turn of events, the game is once again stuffed with fun and charming characters. I love everyone in this game. Even your villains are likable. Side quests are full of a bunch of goofballs, and the game as a whole is never afraid to be goofy. There are silly games, and then there's Final Fantasy VII and Yakuza. This game is just so fucking stupid in all of the best ways, and has me head over heels in love with it. Only in FF7 Rebirth can you have this intense moment, and then an hour later you have or like this dance off where Yuffie just gets shook by this dude's pecs. The game is laugh out loud funny. Dude, the Red 13 Queen's Blood tournament scene, absolute all-timer. And none of this would work as well as it does if it wasn't for the incredible characters in your party. They're all so fun and quirky, the chemistry between everyone is undeniable. I think I would die for like every member of this party. Each of them have their moments where they take center stage, and Rebirth does a really good job of somehow balancing all your characters at the forefront. It doesn't fall into that JRPG trope where someone has their big moment and they just disappear into the woodwork. Cloud, the cold, grizzled soldier, is somehow still funny and charming as hell. It pisses me off that this dude is just good at everything. He's a swordsman, he's a Queen's Blood master, he's the world's best chocobo jockey. My dude can do it all. All of his back and forth with Yuffie especially were just everything I wanted and more.
People will be banging down the door to buy our film rights. Your stunned silence says more than words ever could. I knew you'd be on board.
Please shut up.
Speaking of her, I can't get enough of Yuffie. I'm just recording B-roll left and right every time she's on the screen. This fucking girl is actually Naruto running to me. I get that some people may find her annoying, but I think she's an absolute blast, so you can suck it. And also it helps that she kicks a whole lot of ass in combat. I think one of the understated keys of making these characters so great is how expressive they are. They emote and express themselves in such cool ways. Somehow the team is able to balance realistic graphics with these anime tropey expressions. Everyone just looks so good. Look how handsome Barrett is. Look at him. Aerith is just an absolute stinker, doing these sarcastic remarks, raising her hand, and all the stuff she does while she's like tucked away in the background just kills me. So stupid. Every time there was a moment that a character was talking, I was so enamored with just how good they looked. This is how the game was really able to sink its claws into me in Remake, and now even more so in Rebirth. I've said it once, and I'll say it 100 more times. I cannot get enough of the cast of Rebirth, and they are slowly climbing towards the top as my favorite RPG party ever. The story of Rebirth is a great journey from beginning to end. It never takes itself too seriously, and takes a few risks here and there that sometimes pay off, and sometimes not so much. They do a great job of following Cloud's story while sneakily inserting Aerith as one of the main characters, and by the end of the game, you were none the wiser. As I approached the final chapter, I didn't want the game to end. I just wanted to keep being in this world and being with these characters. While the main story has its lulls, the pals that join you along the way made every hour of my playthrough fly by. The biggest compliment I can give this game is I've clocked around 90 hours, and I still want more. More characters, more story, more stupid mini games, more combat. I just want more of everything. Final Fantasy VII Rebirth did the seemingly impossible task of taking the winning formula of Remake and flat out making it better. While the game has some really bad pacing issues from a gameplay and story perspective, anytime you jump into a 10-minute boss fight, have a sweet character moment, or hit that badass story beat, all the criticisms I had for the game took a backseat. As we move on towards its final entry, I think I've officially set the expectation that the modern Final Fantasy VII trilogy is going to go down as one of the best RPG epics out there. And this expectation is due to the incredible work that Square did with Remake and, more importantly, Rebirth. In a year full of incredible RPGs and JRPGs, make time for this game, because Final Fantasy VII Rebirth is one of the few must-plays of the decade.